using our Fireplace Clean and Peel. Peel and Clean? Peel and Chew? What's it called? Paint and Peel. Today, what we want to work on is the chimney. So we have something very, very exciting happening this week. We are having a wood stove delivered. This has been a plan for at least a year or two. And it just happened to work out that it'll fit in our chimney, that we have a space for it. It's going to be in the fireplace, and it's going to be cool. So we got to prep for that by getting rid of all the smoke damage that we find on the stones. So we've got this goop that we used once before a couple years ago to clear off the smoke that we have replaced with more smoke damage as we've used the fireplace. And we know it works and we know how it doesn't work. When I smeared the goop on the first time, it was just too thin. I didn't put enough on. And we spent hours trying to pick it off, like just peeling it off bit by bit from the stone, which is very porous. And
it really comes back to following directions.
Yeah, I'm following directions. Mm-hmm. Yep. But what we did instead was just we piled goop back on, waited a couple days, and then peeled it off, and all the other first goop that didn't work came off with all the dirt. So
if you also don't follow directions, that will help you.
Yeah.
So before we start cleaning, and before we put the goop on, we're going to take out this swinging arm. So it was for cooking over an open fire. It's going to actually be in the way of the new wood stove, so we're just going to remove it. Just like that.
What Christina's doing here is just trying to brush off a lot of the big particles of dirt and soot that are on there, and there's lots of it, as you can see. Is that a wire brush, or is that, what is that, nylon?
Wire.
Wire, yeah.
Seen better days, but still works for this. The mortar is coming off. Not sure why. Hot fires, not a good job done in here the first time around. We're still gonna clean it. Still some mortar might come off. We might have to replace the mortar. Since we're doing a wood stove and like the flue is just gonna go straight up here, and actually none of the smoke and anything is gonna be in the chimney or any of the, it's just gonna be heat, it's not gonna be fire. It might not matter. We're gonna have the wood stove professionally installed, so we'll also see what those professionals say. I don't know. I mean, it's rustic. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you can see.
Like right here is the worst of it.
Yeah.
And it's just crumbling. I mean, you can see that whole piece is just like gonna come off.
Yeah. Not great.
It's just not great. It's just not been, it's just not been very well done. Here we are. We're using Chimney RX Paint and Peel Fireplace Cleaner. Removes smoke and soot. We have used this before on the stones and it worked pretty well, so we're using it again. This time we're reading all the instructions. So it says to tape off of the area, stir before use, and then make sure that you put on a really, really thick coat. And it gives you a little diagram of, you can use the head of a penny, and that's how thick it should be. So like it should be touching, I think it's forehead. Anyway, so we're gonna try to do the inside of this because we won't have open fires in here anymore, so there won't be any smoke in here anymore. So we're gonna do that first. gallon worth of stuff right there. Doesn't go very far. So we've ordered 2 more gallons. It's just, there's a lot of texture and variation in this. We're trying to put it on really, really thick because like we had said before, we had put it on thin before and that was a nightmare. So putting it on thick, maybe erring on the side of too thick is better than having it too thin. But yeah, so you can see how much 1 gallon will cover on like a stone surface like this one. So on the packaging it says to wait at least 24 to 48 hours. We really globbed it on here and we waited 5 days. So it's 5 days later and now we're going to start the peeling off process and we'll show that to you now. Most of it.
So close.
Ah. There it is.
Kind of looks like the stone.
Yep. Looks exactly like it.
Mortar and everything.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad we waited 5 days because the material at the bottom was still kind of damp. So it was good that we waited those 5 days. But you can see like there's a line right here. There's dirty rock and clean rock, or cleaner rock. So these rocks are really red, I guess. So there's a lot of stuff that can come off them and we'll do the rest of this. This side I think got a lot cleaner than it was before. The middle stuff still needs work, but we only did a small section of that. So we can do this whole section again and we'll do the rocks over here. If you look at the rocks on this side, see how dirty these are? That's how these rocks were in the beginning. So that's a significant difference.
Check that out. That's pretty cool. Okay, so it's off and you can see that bits of mortar got pulled out of there, particularly in that corner right there. So we've got some remortaring to do. This didn't look all that great either. Yeah, so that's, yep. That's gonna have to be redone, but that's cool. We're kind of expecting that. So on Monday, we're gonna have to go to the concrete store and get some mortar. But very pleased with how that turned out. Look at that. I mean, much better, much better. One more kind of interesting side effect here. So this is another mistake that we made. We were told the wrong mortar mix. We had to fill in a little bit around the hearth here at the edge where the floor meets the stone. And when we tried to mortar it ourselves, we asked the guy who did all the stonework to begin with what mortar to get, and he gave us the wrong recipe. So we used the wrong type of cement, and it just is a different color. I mean, you can't help but notice. And what this peel appears to have done is darken some of it and lighten some of it, and it actually seems to blend in a little bit better with the stone. That's kind of interesting. We'll see how that pans out over time. We got the inside of the fireplace all cleaned out with our Fireplace RX Paint and Peel fireplace cleaner. When we did the last pull of the peel, there was some mortar that came up with it, and we were expecting that. Actually, it didn't pull up near as much as I thought it might, so that's good. So we do have some cracks to patch. And to do that, we're going to mix up the cement or the mortar mix that was used originally. Now this took some tracking down, but I finally got the recipe. And we're going to use this colored masonry cement. This is called Old Colonial. I'm going to mix it with 1 part cement to 3 parts sand. Add a little bit of water, get the consistency right, and then apply that to the cracks and just patch everything up. So I couldn't get anything smaller than this. I only need like probably a cup or 2 of the cement, but yeah, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and let's get us some sand. And here it is. This bag has been out here for a little while, a couple years, and it is quickly becoming soil. So we're gonna go ahead and get a shovel, see if we can liberate some of that sand under there. One of those. So 1 part cement, a little less than 3 parts sand. Got my dry mix right here. We're just gonna do this a little bit of water at a time. So it's really, really easy to use too much water. Last time we were doing this, we were doing it outside in a big plastic tub with a special hoe with holes in it just to mix the concrete, mix the cement that we were using out there for the chinking that we did on the outside. And man, you overshoot the water. I mean, you're gonna have to like figure it out by adding a little bit more powder here. Well, it's too much powder, a little bit more water. Just get it right the first time. Add a little bit at a time. Don't overdo it. Okay, starting to form little clumps. That's good. Okay, I think it's pretty much done. It's definitely not runny. It's kind of like peanut butter. Yeah, that's about right. I've never used this specific mortar before, but I think we're good. So I remember being told by the stonemason that did this original work that once they had the mortar on, they just roughed it up with a little bit with a sponge, just to kind of give it a little bit of texture and smooth out some of the stuff. So went ahead and did that. Just very gently, just kind of rub over it. Takes out some of the trowel marks. Just gives a little texture. Not that I'm gonna be winning any art contest for this, but it should get the job done, and I just hope it's close to the rest of the color, the rest of the mortar. All right, so we got that done. Now we just need a wood stove. Our reasons for wanting a wood stove instead of an open fireplace are a few. We love open fires. I mean, both of us grew up around open fires. She's like an expert fire maker. It's pretty awesome. But this firebox is just not that great. It is pretty smoky. It doesn't draft very well, doesn't pull very well. And we get hot fires, and we figured out how to adapt to it, but we just burn a ton of wood. And it's just wasteful. It's very wasteful. It's not efficient at all. And it makes the room actually colder until it gets like really hot for a long time. So we want to do something a little bit more efficient and a little bit more practical. So we're going to fit it inside our firebox. So we picked one that's big enough to do that, or small enough to do that, I guess. And so we're not going to be able to do like we're not doing like hot plates or tea kettles or anything on top of it, but that's cool. We'll just have awesome radiating heat for our little 800 square foot house. All right, they're here. Very cool. Very excited. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burn it hot.
Burn it hot.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take a grinder and cut it down a little bit,
Okay.
and then knock it out.
Cool.
This
Okay.
You can pull it up. Only 50 feet.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mango? Let's take a look up there. Sweet.
We're gonna try to squeeze it in there
Okay.
and see if we can make
All right.
it fit.
Cool.
Alright.
All right.
That would be awesome.
That would be sweet. All right, so the problem is that the stove is taller than anticipated, and it has 6-inch legs on it, which we can't do anything about. So what we're going to try to do is squeeze it in there and see if we can get it to fit. But this thing is huge. It's way bigger than we had pictured it being, and I guess that's good.
It sucks is you don't need it because it's in a
Yeah, we don't
Right.
need it.
firebox, but the way this thing's designed, the heat comes off the back of this and shoves out.
So
So it helps you shoot your heat back into the room.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of lose some of your performance there. So that's kind of a bummer.
It's a bummer. But if it puts the stove in
In,
the fireplace, I think I'm okay.
There's the moment of truth.
So that's a bummer. It doesn't fit. It didn't fit. And we had to take it out and go back to the drawing board. So the company that we're going through, which is the Acme Stove Company, they've been great. Still totally recommend them, but they did kind of mess this up a little bit. They had said that it would be 25 inches tall, and instead it was like 29 and a half or something like that. So it happens. They're gonna make it right. They're gonna take it to their fabricator and just grind the legs down, take a couple inches off, and we'll come back and try it again. So no harm done. Right? I mean, we're in the middle of August. It's not the end of the world. That we can't have a fire in there right now. You know, we were having fires in the fireplace Memorial Day weekend this year, which is just crazy for out here. I mean, I know it's a little cooler out in the mountains than it is in DC, but it's not that much cooler. And you know, we got Labor Day coming up, so you never know. Hope springs eternal. Might have some fires, but we're gonna get this back in a week or two, and we'll give it another shot. And it's in. We got it in. Second time was the charm. We have our wood stove installed. The guys had recommended they take off 3 to 4 inches, but they only ended up taking up 2. So it was still kind of a close thing, but it's in, and we're all set for that Labor Day fire. Yeah, it's a snug fit, but that totally works. That's perfect, actually. Look at that. It's so tight. So this is the Morso 3100 series wood stove. It's rated for 75 cubic meters. I looked that up. That's like 2,600 square feet. I think it's reasonable to expect it to do a little less than that pretty well. But it's got a smaller box than the one we had originally planned for it. Unfortunately, the EPA standards changed in 2020, so the wood stove we picked out in 2019 was no longer available. So the smaller box though is kind of a problem, because I cut all of my rounds for all the firewood to be fit within 15 inches. Most of it's probably 13 inches. And this says it'll take 12 inches, I think probably 10 inches is going to be a better fit, but you know, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that. Probably just cut the wood down, because it's really nice wood. I mean, it's ash, locust, and some walnut, and that stuff burns really well, and it's all seasoned, so I'm probably just gonna try to saw it in half and work with it. But it's got a little pan, makes it easy to clean. It's great moves. Kind of get airflow, and we kind of can't wait to test this puppy out. Anyway, thanks for watching. This was the story of our fireplace makeover. Please, if you haven't already, give this a like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications. We'll see you next week.